Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Georgia Tech live show, and we're inside of 100 days of kickoff. And Demo here, I don't know why I play that. He gets me fired up every time. But let's get into it. Let me bring in my man, Sea-Dog here. How are you, sir?
What up, dude? I'm great. How about you?
Can't complain.
Long time no see.
I know, man. Me and or Sea-Dog and I, to be grammatically correct, went and practiced for the Slob softball game yesterday, and I don't think there was a swing of the bat we had that wasn't 800 feet over the fence. So
Oh, yeah, dude. Those chumps on Team Raj don't stand a chance.
they are a bunch of chumps. You can cheat as much as you want. After what I saw today in the talent, the veracity, all right, there's nothing you're going to do that is going to affect the outcome of that game.
You're damn right. And yeah, dude, freaking playing Demo, man, getting me fired up here and on a day in late May.
I know. I mean, I can't stand it, man. I'm ready for football.
I know, dude. I've had several dreams about the season.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't told you this. I've said this
No.
a few times on stream. I've had 3 or 4 dreams about the Louisville game.
And what was the outcome?
So, I think 3 of the times we lost, and then this past time, it was like a nail biter in the fourth quarter. It was like 37-38, and we were like, it was the fourth quarter, dude. A couple minutes left, and we were like down 1, and I'm like, oh my god, and we're about to freaking, we get the ball, and then I freaking wake up, and I'm like, no. I'm like, I gotta know what happens.
Oh man.
But I usually don't have very good dreams. Like, you know how they say, they say that nightmares and stuff are to prepare you for, like, what, to prepare your emotions or whatever for if the worst happens. Like,
yeah,
I've had like death of loved ones, dreams and stuff, and I'm like just emotionally destroyed. And so, clearly losing week 1 would be equivalent to the death of a loved one this year for me. So
that's reasonable.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've got us as an 8.5 point dog right now, and
that's fair. I mean,
it's fair, but I don't agree with it. Like, I would think 3.5, because I know Braum is like this offensive genius, but what's their defense? Like, I think they lost some pieces. Like enough hasn't happened with their team to make me think they're 2-score favorites.
If their offense is clicking, like, a lot of the time in the first game of the season, it's always defensive. Like,
Georgia Clemson.
Yeah. There was one guy who made, like, not this past year, but the last, made like a ton of money betting on. He parlayed a bunch of like unders in week 1 and like made bank. And we might see something, for those expecting 40 points to be scored on either team in that game. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. Either team.
No. If we do get in a shootout in that game, I think we lose, though. That would be
right.
Not an ideal scenario.
Yeah. But, I mean, we never got into a shootout last year. All of our games that we won were, defensive.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, we are replacing a lot on the defense. Hopefully, it's not too big of a step back from this past year, but I do have my reservations. Hopefully some of the transfers and, guys that we got in there are going to be able to step up. But Charlie Thomas and Ace Ely is a tough duo to replace. Plus Keon White on the line. And then, we're losing defensive linemen too. Like Akila Stone to the freaking portal. Freaking Ole Miss.
To Ole Miss, yeah. Real quick, let me run through the chat. Let's see who we've got in here. CJ with some googly eyes. How are you, CJ? longtime viewer. My man, Mojo Productions in the house. I guess he's been talking to Traveling Fools. He says, yo, yo. I think Fools usually has 4 yos, but we got David in here. Says, what's up, WT? Not much, man. Not much. We got Colby in here. He actually said that we win that Louisville game further down in the chat. Nice to have you in here, Colby. Neo in the house. I don't know if I said David already, but David in here. Let's see. Tiger Cat says hello. Welcome, Tiger Cat. Jujician, our man, our fellow content creator, the man who covers the sports that we don't know anything about, as well as football. He does football too, but he's a basketball expert. If you're not subscribed to Jujician, you're a Georgia Tech fan, and even if you're not, go subscribe to Jujician. Jujician says football season cannot come soon enough. Mm-hmm. I mean, I might even trade like my pinky finger if football started tomorrow. Like, I'd probably I don't need my pinky finger. I'm certain of it.
Right.
Let's see, and that's everyone I see thus far. We got about 15 people in here. But yeah, I mean, the Louisville game is pivotal. We'll be the only game on in that time slot. We got to have a showing out. And look, we've had a pretty substantial roster turn. I mean, not like Colorado or anything, but we bring Haynes King. I'm just trying to think. We got Haynes King, Braylon Oliver, Andre White. Those are 2 guys that have the potential to replace Thomas and Ely. I mean, what do you think about, like, what are you expecting from the linebacker play?
Well, the best we can hope for. Ace Ely was a transfer himself. He only had 2 years with us, so hopefully that's not something that's like too crazy to expect to fill that position. Yeah. What I'm thinking is we probably won't have two outstanding linebackers, the way it was last year, but hopefully we can have one guy that steps up and takes the leader, because it's not only the position, but it's a leadership role too that needs to be filled. Charlie Thomas was like the quarterback of the defense, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that is the leadership thing is something that is got to be replaced too. So hopefully we have at least one guy that can step up and do that. But I've got faith in them. Coach Thack, restored faith in him. I think he knows what he's doing. And we got Kevin Scherer now, who is linebackers coach too. So both of them were linebackers coach, right?
Who, Kevin Scherer and Thacker? Yeah, I think they both are.
Yeah.
And I think we've done everything we can within reason to replace this. I mean, there's 2 talented kids. Scherer is a guy who's been a DC in the SEC before. He has a national title ring with Alabama. He's an NFL guy as well. So I hate that we lost Coach Boogie. I think I even said in a video, like, it really speaks to how great of a coach he is that we've been 3-9 for so long, and then 5 wins last year, and he gets promoted to DC at Marshall. And Marshall's not a horrible program. Marshall showed out pretty well last year.
Coach Boogie, I was a little skeptical on his move to special teams coordinator. Because he had never done it before, and like, I'm honestly okay with the Boogie thing. I said this in like my video about it or something, but I was questioning. I was like, because I knew him and Brent Key were such close friends, and I was like thinking to myself, like, what if he's, got some, he's putting his friend here. I don't know. I know that I know Brent Key's not messing around, but would we have Coach Boogie who's never done it before, or a special teams coordinator who has got years of experience at that position? I don't think it's such a bad loss, as compared to what, we could have lost.
It's a loss as a linebackers coach, but it's not.
Well, he wasn't going to be coaching them anyway, right? He
Yeah, he
was
got
only
moved
special
to
teams.
special
Yeah,
teams coordinator, and we
and
were
then
talking that was kind of I didn't really understand that move.
right, right, and then Kevin Sherr came in. Now he's going to coach linebackers, and he's also DC. So we have four coordinators too,
Yeah,
which is very interesting.
right.
I mean, I'm down with that move because like I've been saying, my concern for Winky getting hired away. I think he's in great danger of being hired away.
Yes.
Um,
When you're
him and
thrown
Keith.
in to play calling in the last 2 games and you go on the road and beat North Carolina, like I think people took notice of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Being able to play to your team's strengths, it was like a different team last year when we had we had a quarterback go down in the game and we get blown out and it's a complete disaster. But it is we come back and look like a completely different team the next week whenever we have time to like prepare. Like,
Yeah.
okay, Jeff Sims not coming back, so we got to figure out who can do it. And we go into Zach Gibson was never going to be that.
No,
We're
but
lucky we had Pyron last year, or else Key wouldn't have got the job.
No, we're lucky we had Pyron, and when they really had time to work with Gibson, I mean, he did go on the road at North Carolina and get a win, and looked good against Georgia.
Well, Zach Gibson looked good. Yes, he did, because I noticed that the offensive line play was a lot better in the last 2 games than prior, because in the Virginia game he had zero mobility. Like, he couldn't escape from a freaking snail coming after him. So, and I noticed in the North Carolina game and even the Georgia game too, the offensive line was blocking for him, which was really nice. He had time, and so yeah, that was something I noticed as well. But yeah, he did pretty good in the last the last 2 games too.
No, he did, and even like Pumachan scored an open drive against
Right.
Georgia. Like that,
Right.
that's all to me, Chris Winky.
Yeah.
Like that's 100% Winky, and that's what I have to be excited about. Like with the roster turnover,
Right.
we turned over like 80% of our staff as well. Buster Faulkner, we talked about Kevin Sherr. We bring back Marco Coleman.
Yeah. And that's what I keep telling the doubters. Like, Brink Hugh has got us to 5 wins with like a freaking squad that was in shambles. We had hurt quarterbacks, and imagine what he can do with a full offseason to prepare, 2 capable quarterbacks, and it's like, imagine what he can do. He's got his staff in there. He's got several transfers in there. Our wide receiver room is looking crazy.
Oh yeah.
And
well, and people don't understand that. Like, and you can clip this and what I'm about to say and call me an idiot. That's fine. But insert Nick Saban in the interim role. Do you think we do any better than what Key did? I don't know that we do.
No. Nope.
Insert Dabo or whoever elite coach you want to put in there. I don't know that they do better than Key did.
You couldn't have done any better, because like they literally, like, every single obstacle you had, yes, it happened during the games. The quarterback went down during the games, but once the game was over and they were able to look at the situation, they were able to adapt on the fly.
Yeah.
They were able to adapt to that on the fly. So,
I mean, it couldn't have gone any worse as far as the circumstances surrounding the program than it did. You have not just your backup go down, or not just Sims goes down, but his backup goes down. There's not a team in the country that's not hurting mightily, no matter how talented they are. They're on their 3rd string quarterback. And you're right. Now that he's got all his people in, and I'm sure you saw, like, there's support now. So, like, we're 3rd in the ACC in recruiting budget right now. So that's been a big criticism of our program. Oh, there's no commitment, whatever. Well, it looks like there is, at least on recruiting.
I was shocked when I saw that graphic. I didn't even know what to make of it. I was like,
over $1 million a year,
what?
like 1.2.
That's crazy, man. That's
I see
crazy.
True
Hopefully it
Seminole
pays
in
off.
here.
Hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, like we're outspending Florida State. And he asked a question, what do you think of the new success-oriented revenue system for the ACC? I don't know what Sea-Dog thinks, but I think it's a Band-Aid that gets us a little further down the road. But they've got to do something in the time they've bought themselves with that. Like you can't just be like, okay, and do that and do nothing else. What do you think?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, yeah, half measure. I mean, whatever. If it placates Clemson and FSU until we can get a new deal worked out, why don't we have one worked out already? I don't know. We talked about this on the ACC show last week that I hosted on my channel because Pete wasn't available.
Mm-hmm.
But we had we were talking about the possibility of the ACC doing this, keeping the teams happy for now. Hopefully, they're able to go back to the become a Power 3 conference is what it would become, right?
Yeah.
If you were assuming that the Pac-12 and the Big 12 get boxed out. The Big 12, I mean, some people might have a different opinion than me, but to me, they haven't done anything deserving of being considered a power level conference. So the ACC, has still got their two best teams, and Florida State and Clemson. Throw Miami in there, I guess. I mean, geez, well.
No, Miami. See, they're throwing their weight around all of a sudden, like they've got any.
I mean, if the ACC were to disband, Miami would have never won it.
Yeah.
So
And as far as their following, they don't have the following that they think that they do. It's a small school with a small alumni, and really outside of that, no one gives a crap. Okay.
Yeah. So we still have our flagship programs. We haven't lost that like the Big 12 has. So my thought would have been hopefully that the ACC is able to possibly talk about the interest of like Notre Dame. Gotta get Notre Dame. Like, come on. Get freaking Notre Dame in here.
We pay them $17 million a year for not being in our conference.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like that needs to be fixed. Okay, yeah. And then also, Oregon, Washington are still on the market, and those are two national, like nationally competitive teams. Those three teams are who we should be after. And it's weird. Obviously, they're on the complete opposite side of the country. But if we were able to say, Oregon, Washington, look, you come here, you guys can help us renegotiate our contract. We can become a power conference too. And I think that would save the ACC if that's in my perfect dream scenario.
And I would even be okay with saying we'll give them we'll pay your travel or something, like a little more money. They're going to have a brutal travel schedule. I'd be okay with compensating them for that.
Right. So, it's, I'm sure, I know it's not that easy. But Slim was saying, adding team, negotiating the possibility of adding teams increases the value of the conference, which would then in turn give us possibly some leverage to get a better deal worked out with the grant of rights. So
that's the only way forward to me. That's what you have to do. You have to bring in more programs because the Big 12 lost not only two of the biggest teams in their conference, but biggest programs in the country in Texas and Oklahoma. If that happens to us, we'll be in the same boat where we're a group of team or a group of conference.
Right. And we were talking about the Big 12 instead of getting the Oregon and Washington, they went and got BYU, Cincinnati, UCF. Those teams are not the caliber that are going to make yourself a nationally relevant conference. So
no.
That's what the Big 12 is doing. They're filling themselves up with little group of 5 teams that are good. They're good. And you could add maybe one of them in addition to a Notre Dame. Like if we added, Oregon, Washington, Cincinnati, and Notre Dame, for example, that would be a great addition too. In addition, so, but to fill your conference up with those is not going to cut it, in my opinion. I feel like it felt like a desperate move to me The Big 12 football will still be entertaining, but it won't be national contenders.
No. Well, they won't be taken seriously. If we did what you said, I'm not saying we're necessarily on par with the Big 10 and SEC, but we're definitely way closer.
We could be. We're not that far behind, and I think the revenue. Well, we're not as far. Okay, we're far behind the revenue. It was Slim was saying it. He knows more about this. Look, the whole conference realignment thing is not my forte. Okay, I've just been,
Well, I mean, as far as
I've
brands
just
and
trying to pay attention, but yeah, we're not as far behind it, and the Big Ten isn't as far. The SEC is clearly the best, but the Big Ten is not as far ahead as people might think either, because their deal has not been finalized. That crazy.
I didn't know that
$1 billion TV deal that they all work. Yeah, I didn't know that either until Slim had told me last week. So that hasn't been finalized. So yeah, it's the Big Ten is they're not exactly sitting pretty right now as far as that goes. So there's still hope for the ACC. I lost hope, but lately after seeing I mean, after this, hopefully, to your question, this revenue sharing thing will placate Clemson and FSU and give us time to get a new deal, because that's what we need. That's what we need, or else the conference will die. If we try to sit on the grant of rights and prevent and try to hold the teams hostage until 2036, that's not happening. They're going to leave before then. That's not that. I hope that's not the plan of the ACC. If it is, the ACC will collapse.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point being, you can't just do this incentive thing and nothing else. It has to be followed by quick, decisive action afterward.
They should have been doing this as soon as Texas and Oklahoma. They should have been working on getting a better deal as soon as Texas and Oklahoma announced they were leaving for the SEC. Or, if we're going to be reactionary about it, I said this, I think, in my video the other day too. Mm-hmm. God forbid the ACC be on the cutting edge of be ahead, or be proactive in trying to get at the other conferences. If we're being reactionary, we should have seen what happened to the Big 12 and been like, oh shit, that could happen to us too.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then especially once USC and UCLA announced their move to the Big 10, we should have been like, okay, now it's really time. But now here we are, and it takes our teams threatening to leave for us to finally make some action. So it's not promising to me. It is possible that the ACC works their way out of this.
But they got to do something different than they have been doing. To your point, like when that happened, the ACC should have been calling some Pac-12 teams, like we've already talked about, and said, look, we're not trying to twist your arm, but your conference is in a tough spot, and if you want a way out, we got one for you.
Yeah, yeah. And come with us and help us renegotiate a contract, because from what I understand, ESPN has no incentive to renegotiate the deal of the grant of rights, because it's a really, really lucrative deal for them and not for the conference.
Well,
right?
But to me, then it has to be framed that, look, it's great for you, and the only leverage that the ACC has is unless the ACC don't exist anymore. If the market no longer exists for the ACC, then you've got nothing. And no matter how much money they got, they don't want to lose, $800 million or whatever it would be.
I think somebody had told me that ESPN, the collapse of the ACC wouldn't. I really don't know. Does the ESPN also?
They have the SEC network.
Okay, so somebody was saying that if Clemson and Florida State go to the SEC, then that wouldn't bother ESPN any.
I don't believe that,
the SEC network. I hope that's not the case. Look, like I said, I'm not some kind of expert on the freaking conference, like TV contracts and shit, like yawn. But when it pertains to the ACC, that it is concerning. So hopefully, hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully that if we get some teams interested in coming into the ACC, then that will give us leverage, like I said, to renegotiate.
Yeah, I'm not a conference realignment expert, but I know how big businesses work and think.
Right.
And it's all about the next earnings call and the stock and that number continuing to go up. And if the ACC disintegrates, it's a hit on their bottom line, regardless of whether it makes the SEC
Yeah.
more valuable. And investors in their company could care less about college football. They just want to see that little number keep going up. That's it.
And just to be clear, I feel like I don't say this enough. I'm disgusted with any and all realignment that's been happening recently that results in the downfall of a conference. Like the Big 12 collapsing is like a nightmare to me, because I find Big 12 football extremely entertaining, and it's somewhat regional. I know that you got the weird thing with West Virginia, but it's like Big 12 football. Big 12's been around for a while. To see it collapse like that, same with the Pac 12.
Yep.
They play good football out there, and it is a shame, a crying shame, that we're moving towards a Power 2 system. I'd rather be a Power 3 than a Power 2, though. And I'd rather it be them than us, because ACC football is what I'm a fan of and what I like the most. ACC and SEC are the two most interesting to me. So obviously I'd rather it be them than us, but I still don't like. I'm a college football fan as well. I watch all the games.
Yeah.
So the fact that this is the fact that this is all happening because, well, I mean, it really happened because of mismanagement of the other conferences. The Big Ten and SEC had the best, ran the best
management,
and the other conferences were not. So it makes me sick. I don't want to see USC and freaking UCLA playing regular season games in freaking Ohio or New Jersey or whatever the hell it is. I don't want to see Texas and freaking Oklahoma playing Georgia in the regular. I don't want to see that crap. I don't want all the best teams to be in two conferences. That's not college football. That's lame. It's freaking lame, and it's all about money, and it just really, really sucks.
Yeah, and I think it's bad for the fans, and it's kind of like, like, not to get political, but there's certain things the federal government has to make sure they do. And I wish the NCAA, but I mean, they've lost every lawsuit they've ever been a part of, but it would have been nice if they could have stepped in and been like, no, you can only have X number of teams in your conference, and you can't do this or you can do that for the good of college football. Right. Because if you're a college football fan, you cannot be a fan of what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes me sick. In fact, I know you don't watch Ted Lasso, do you? Are you able to play like a video clip?
Yeah.
You should put on this clip. I tweeted it the other day on my Twitter. It was I was watching Ted Lasso, and they were talking about making like a super league in soccer over there, and it was like it really spoke to me on how, because she talked about one of the owners of one of the teams was saying how they're basically shaming them for choosing the dollar over the good of the sport, and it really rung true for a lot of the stuff that's going on in college football right now.
Well, do you want to find the clip and send it to me? I'll play it.
Yeah, it's on my Twitter profile. Here.
Okay.
I'll copy the link to it. It really, I was like, damn.
Ted Lasso speaking reasonableness out of everyone that's spoken on it.
I sent it to your Twitter. Okay. Ted Lasso is a great show, by the way. For anybody who hasn't seen it, it's about a college football coach who goes to coach a pro soccer team in the UK, and he's completely unqualified for it. And it's a comedy, and it's really good. And the latest season hasn't been great and stuff and everything. If you're a college football fan and you're watching that, it's like that is how relevant. It's crazy how relevant that is to what's going on. Like, if you got to think, like, imagine you're in the Pac-12 right now and you're a diehard Washington State fan. You know,
Well,
it's like
yeah.
it's like Washington State doesn't have a place in the Power Three.
Or
You know,
Oregon State, maybe. Well, I mean,
right.
what teams were in the Big East? I mean, this has already happened before. I mean,
Right. Yeah. Like
let me see.
I was listening to Late Kick the other night. He said the example. Rice used to be in the in one of these big conferences or whatever. They got relegated. The conference broke up a long time ago, and Rice gets relegated to irrelevancy forever. And it's like, schools like that. It's like Georgia Tech. Like, there's no guarantee that Georgia Tech is going to be in make it in. What if the ACC collapses, and there's no guarantee we're going to make it in the Big Ten. I just got done saying how the Big 12 is going to be pretty much irrelevant nationally. What if we go to the Big 12 and lose our chance at competing at the highest level? That is like, it's scary to me for sure.
I mean, nothing's guaranteed. The Big Ten has already reached out, I think, to Tech way back in the day, wanting them. I think that might have been why Ratkovich left, because that was a move he wanted to make, and Tech didn't.
Yeah. So that would be great for us, but it's like, what about these other teams? Boston College, Wake Forest, Syracuse. Like, they're going to be without a home. They're going to be, they might not even be able to get in the Big 12. So it's just sad. I hate watching everything that's going down.
Well, like Connecticut was in the Big East. They're irrelevant football wise now. Let's see. Temple was in the Big East. I mean, that's what would happen to these smaller market teams, and I mean, it's not good for college football because most of the fan base, is not a fan of the top 5 teams in the country or whatever.
Mm-hmm. TDJ makes a point. He says Maryland left the ACC for the Big 12 not long ago, and they're not exactly a football powerhouse. Well, Georgia Tech's not a football powerhouse, but the thing is, what if the fact that they're in the Big 10 means that one day they could possibly, if they got good enough, reach the level, go on a run one year or something and make it to the playoffs or something like that. And it's like, what we're headed towards, Oregon State will never get that chance. You know what I mean? So
TCU would have never got that chance.
Right.
What if that conference dissolved and now TCU is in the Conference USA or something?
Right. So it's like being down, sucking at football is one thing, but not ever having the chance to compete at the highest level is another level of devastation that I hope never happens to Georgia Tech. And I don't want it to happen, to really any Power 5 teams under our current system. It is really sad. So, you can go through down years, but also Maryland is making way more than us just because that Maryland makes more money from their TV deal than Clemson.
Yeah.
Just because they're in the Big Ten. So,
now, isn't it true that they took less money for like 2 or 3 years or something? There was like a probationary period for them to get in the Big Ten. They're a full member now.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so Maryland moving to the Big Ten turned out to be a really good move.
Yeah.
And they're secure in the future now because the Big Ten is not going anywhere. I mean, we're going to see about this deal that they're working out. May or may not fall through, but
well, C-Dog, I feel like we need some good news. Like, this conference realignment stuff scares the fool out of me. How about we look at some Georgia Tech greats and maybe not so greats? I told you about this before the show, but I've made a tier list, we can look at some of these Georgia Tech people and see what you think, where they shake out. Let me switch. What screen do I want to use? This one. So I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 24, 28 guys. So the first one I've got is Tashard Choice. Where does can they,
are we
okay,
so we're doing a tier list?
Yeah, so S tier is the best. You know, not many guys going to make it into S tier. And then obviously D tier being the worst.
So
where do we put
Tashard Choice should be like, so are we talking about playing career or coaching or both?
So there's people that aren't players on here. To me, like if it's a player to get into S tier, they had to be a great player at Tech and then have a great career outside of Tech in the NFL or in coaching or in whatever.
Tashard Choice, I think, is special because he's got both going for him, right?
I was split between A and S tier, but I'll tell you, after last year, I don't know. After last year's draft, though, I mean, he had 2 top first round picks, running backs, but maybe he is.
Well, B. John was going to go in the first round, whether or not Tashard Choice was his coach. I think A tier is a good. I mean, we're talking about S tier. We're talking about Megatron.
Yeah,
and so I mean, Tashard Choice still has the opportunity to work up into the S tier, but you know what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to bring it on home.
I agree.
He's going to have to bring it on home and have a lucrative career here, and that'll he'll be able to work his way up in the S tier. But a great freaking player. If you go back, he was before my time, but if you go back and watch his highlights, he looks like Jahmyr Gibbs when he runs, like how shifty and small he is, and fast. He looks like Gibbs. It's crazy the way his running style rubbed off on Gibbs. It's really cool to watch.
You know, he was a transfer for us.
He was.
He transferred from Oklahoma, so he's from Georgia. His mom got sick. Yeah. And in those days, you could get like a free transfer, like a medical transfer like that. And dude tore it up on the flats. Yeah. And then got drafted by Dallas, the Cowboys, I believe, and had a pretty good NFL career. And then obviously now into coaching. But yeah, let's see. 441 says S tier.
I could see how you want S tier, but I think if he came back and did some more good for us, I think that would really cement him. But I mean, we're talking about Megatron in S tier and possibly 1 or maybe 2 other people in S tier. So that's gonna have to be.
So what about a guy? So this is Brad Stewart. Do you remember this guy? He was a wide receiver for us. Caught a big pass against Florida State. When we upset them. He's from Savannah, Georgia. Super serviceable wide receiver. I mean, obviously, I needed to have a gambit of people to put on this list.
Right. I have no idea who that is.
Okay. He's a C tier to me. But yeah. Okay, so how about here's one. Reggie Ball. Where does Reggie Ball fall in this? Because he had some big wins. He's on the all-time Georgia Tech. I think he's like 3rd or something on all-time passing yardage and all quarterback stats. But I don't think you can be above – well, let me just put it this way. You can't be above B tier and throw it away on 4th down when you have Calvin Johnson. I do know that.
Yeah, so – Reggie Ball has a complicated legacy. I think he gets a bad rap though. I would probably go B tier for Reggie Ball.
B tier Reggie Ball. That's kind of what I was thinking. I was bumping between these two, but you kind of the bad of him sticks out in retrospect more.
He gets a bad rap, and it's mostly like opposing fans trying to besmirch his good name. Okay, made one boneheaded thing. Everybody. That's what anybody ever talks about when they bring up Reggie Ball. But Reggie Ball was I mean, come on, he's one of the better quarterbacks we've had in my lifetime, at least. So
He went down to Miami and beat a top 10 Miami
right,
before anyone really knew who he
right.
was. All right, Harrison Bucker.
Oh, as S tier.
You're saying S tier?
I'm
for
saying
Bucker.
S tier, man. I'm saying S tier.
Yeah, I mean that big upset in 2014 or 2015.
Yeah.
The kick and the pick he was involved with, and he's got 2 Super Bowl rings now.
Yeah, that's what is really. I'm saying that like Harrison Butker. I mean, he is as good as you can be as a kicker. Obviously,
Yeah.
he is not on the legendary status of like Megatron, but as far as a kicker, he is literally the best that you could. He couldn't do any better.
So he'll be bottom S tier. Like there'll be people above him in the tier. Who was saying that Blankenship was better?
Oh, Uncle Lou. Yeah, as if freaking Shankenship could hold a freaking candle to a butt kicker. Are you kidding me? Guess who's unemployed and guess who's kicking Super Bowl winning field goals? Yeah.
That's right.
See if you can answer that for me.
Now, here's one that you might not remember. Do you remember AJ Suggs?
Vaguely, but that's like
AJ Suggs was the first 5-star I think we had on our roster. He transferred from Tennessee. He was supposed to be the savior coming into Tech under Gailey.
Right.
And he would throw a pick to a guy where the guy didn't have to move. He would just throw it right to the defender. But he showed out against Georgia. Like, I think he's C tier.
This is before my time, so it's gonna have to be. You got to remember I'm like young, so I have somewhat of a. I barely remember anything before like Paul Johnson.
Okay.
And then
I get that.
Even the Paul Johnson years, like I was just not like down with the triple option.
So he was at the beginning of me, or not at the very beginning. He was after like Godsey, but he was a divisive figure a little bit.
Right.
Let's see who I want to do next. Let's do George O'Leary. Where does O'Leary fit?
Okay.
I mean, he's in between these two. I would say he's A tier. But you could make an argument for S tier just for what he did in Florida. I don't know.
I'd probably go A tier. Yeah, I'd probably go A tier for O'Leary. Yeah, he was a great coach for us.
I think he's the most underrated coach of recent times. I mean, he had that debacle with Notre Dame, and I'm sure Notre Dame wished they would have overlooked the reason they didn't hire him.
Yeah, he was a great coach for sure. Again, before my time, but
and a mentor of our next guy, Brent Key.
Oh hell yeah. So Mike Doug says he should have been S tier.
I just don't
S tier. We gotta save.
S-tier.
We gotta save the S tier for We gotta save the S tier. You know what I mean? That's like top of the top. Okay.
He would be S tier if like he had gone to Notre Dame and like been really good at Notre Dame or something like that. But I think he's the most underrated coach in the last 15, 20 years. Brent Key, in my opinion, go ahead.
Brent Key, if we're looking at, our opinions of him aside, well, his playing career, but I don't really know anything about that. But I'm talking about coaching here. He went 4-4 as an interim coach. He's put together a great staff and everything, but he just hasn't proven anything for himself. I think it would only be fair to put him at like C tier.
I would say maybe between these two, I think to be fair, our homerism would want to put him in B tier, but I don't really want to put him with Suggs either. He's like the top of C tier right now.
I think the only thing we can do to be fair is put him there. Obviously, he, this year he's got a chance to really step up, but as far as his body of work now, Um, yeah.
All right. Let's see. Darren Waller.
Ooh,
He's a
Darren
tough one to
Waller.
place.
Darren Waller is special to me because he actually went to my high school.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he went to the same high school as me, North Cobb. Go Warriors!
Woo-hoo.
And so he's an S tier for me personally. Just I just freaking love Darren Waller. Okay, and he's got he's had a great
NFL
career too. He's the highest paid tight end in the NFL.
So for me, it's between A and B. Mm-hmm. When he was at Tech, he was a really good player, and I'm not at all dogging on him. He had some personal issues that held him back from really being what he could have been in the beginning of his NFL career as well. I think Harbaugh's brother was looking at him as like, why is no one drafting this kid? Like, he's amazing. Yeah. But he's doing fantastic now. I could not be happier for the kid. I think he's either at the back end of A or the top of B, and I would put him at the back end of A just because he's been so special in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the best. You can make the argument he's the best tight end in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
All right. I put this guy on here just because I wanted to talk about him. This is Chimaglia. I put him on here because Jeff Collins said he was such a special player and leader, and he was just amazing. And he got a freaking...
Is that the kicker?
Yeah.
That was horrible?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
And he got a personal foul penalty after, like, he missed a kick, like, trash talking people. If there was something below D tier, this clown would be on it. I didn't even want to get a picture of him in my beloved white and gold. The heck with that kid.
Yeah, so Maglio, I was excited for him too, but he was horrible.
The minute that, like, is there anything good you can say about him? Like,
no.
As a player, I'm sure he's a fine person. I don't know.
He transferred in from Tennessee, and he was supposed to be. We really needed a kicker at the time, and he missed so many field. Like, he was the kicker in the Northern Illinois game and missed like 3 field goals.
I know,
and we lost by a point. Like, come on, dude. Literally lost us that game. So hell yeah. Geez, give me a break.
All right, staying on topic with people I really don't like, Dave Patnode.
Oh, jeez.
Dave Patnode's actually below Chimaglia.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of a worse OC in the history of college, of Power 5 football than Dave Patnode. Like, what he did to our offense is unspeakable. Like,
dude, can you imagine a bigger, gap of talent he had versus capability of coach?
I know guys are wanting some of these older guys, but I knew that, like, C-Dog wouldn't know some of these guys, and I wanted to get people on this list that I knew something about. Like, obviously I know Bobby Ross. Bobby Ross would probably be A tier because he left us to go to Alabama. But do you want
to we could bring in some Tech fans to give their opinion if they wanted to.
Sure. Let me open up the StreamYard. Let me flip over here.
I'm enjoying this so far.
Let me drop the StreamYard link. If you want to come in and discuss the list, we definitely can. I'll just while people are coming in, say who I've got on. I know you won't know who this guy is. Tony Hollins was a guy that played under O'Leary. He actually was a defensive back that transitioned to playing running back, got hurt, and still led the nation in rushing for like 3 weeks after he got hurt.
Oh, damn.
That's how good Hollins was. We got Roddy Jones. This picture got messed up. I don't know.
It's like his pants.
I just got a picture of his crotch. So yeah, we can rank this guy's crotch on our list.
I freaking love Roddy Jones, dude.
No, Roddy Jones is special.
He's a beast.
Presley Harvin III.
Oh, man.
Obviously Paul Johnson.
Yep.
Morgan Burnett. Justin Thomas. Josh Pastner. Josh Nesbitt. Jonathan Dwyer. And I had to put Joe Gilbert on here. Friend of the show.
Hell yeah. S tier.
Yeah, he's top. Joe Gilbert's top S tier. Joe Hamilton, and I wanted to put Angel Cabrera on here because I was going to be interested to see what people thought of how well he's done. George Gotze, gotta have Jeff Collins on any list. Demo, Bebe Thomas, and obviously the GOAT.
Okay,
Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, we can just go ahead and
we know where he's going, but guys, hit that StreamYard link if you want to be a part of the discussion. We'll keep moving on. It gives me a little notification when you guys come in. But this guy's crotch is top S tier. Anyways, so I'll talk about Tony Hollins. Tony Hollins is top C tier just because of his injuries, but that was a kid that had he not got injured, would have been a really he was a special player for us when he was here. Now, Roddy Jones.
Okay, let's go. I love Roddy Jones, man. I love his career that he's got.
We got Mike Duggan here, by the way. Go ahead.
A lot of people find his voice annoying.
Roddy Jones?
Yeah, a lot of people are annoyed by him. What do you think?
I think Roddy Jones is top B tier. Did he get drafted?
He didn't have much of an NFL career.
Yeah, I think he's top B tier. I think to be an A or S, you have to have some semblance of a career after Tech, but I definitely think he's top B tier. Mike Doug, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. I take exception to George O'Leary not being in the S1.
Yeah, George. Well, I think
he was part of our national championship. I think he was our defensive coordinator that year.
He was, and Ralph Friedgen. That's who this crotch is. Now that you say that, that's Ralph Friedgen.
Ralph Friedgen's definitely S tier. Nobody can make better halftime adjustments than him.
Oh man, I think Ralph Friedgen is right behind O'Leary.
We're talking about Megatron here.
And my thinking is 10% or less of these guys can be S tier.
Right.
And O'Leary did lie on his resume, which is a knock on him. I think he's high A tier. I mean, you could say he's above Choice. I'm okay with that. And you can say he's absolute top A tier. He's first out of S tier.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, man. Like I said, you had the defense that won part of the national championship. I really, how often does that happen at Tech?
Yeah, the interesting thing with Tech during that time is that we could never get the offense, a great offense and defense at the same time, and we struck lightning with him and Friedgen. But
y'all are more qualified to speak of it than me because Tech won the national championship 7 years before I was born. So,
well, to be fair, I'd put Ross at the top A tier too because he left us and went to Alabama.
No, he didn't go to Alabama. He went to the San Diego Chargers.
Didn't he end up at Alabama?
No, but he took a year or two after he left Tech. He took San Diego to the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, Ross would be S tier then.
Any coach that wins Georgia Tech and Natty can be S tier in my book. John Heisman, William Alexander, freaking hell yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Josh Nesbitt. That's another one that's I think not so clear to place.
Yeah.
To me,
always felt like you had a chance to win with Josh Nesbitt.
He was a tough. We kind of hit lightning in a bottle with him because I think he was far more suited to the triple option than probably being a traditional, pro style quarterback. I think he's top B tier. I don't know what you guys think.
I think you're about right with that because where did he go after Tech? I can't remember.
Buffalo on their practice squad.
Yeah, he don't get the S tier for sure. B tier.
See, well, I'll put him here. Who did we just have come in? 441W. How are you, sir?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Pretty good, man. Are we doing all right so far?
So far, so good. I had to figure out StreamYard. Haven't done that before, so I missed some of the tier ranks. Are we doing this like what do you call it? A bell curve distribution, or is it like top heavy?
Well, obviously it's not going to be a straight bell curve because then I'd have to like do some math. But
Well, I was gonna say like half the guys would be in the the B tier then.
it's kind of worked out that
Right.
way a little bit. I mean, I can see a bell here.
Yeah, so S tier is clearly like there shouldn't be very many people in S tier. That's the only thing that I'm kind of
I tried to
reserving.
make it even out a little. Like I didn't
Yeah.
want to have everyone up top or bottom.
Yeah.
But okay, let's talk about Angel Cabrera. What do you guys think about how he's done, and where would you place this guy?
I'm not sure. I'm not convinced that he, cares the most about football.
Yeah.
Which is the only thing that I'm evaluating here. It's my only
Well, that's what we're
criteria.
talking about.
So
I think that he's somewhere in C tier.
Yeah, I mean,
because he allowed this Collins debacle to go on too long.
He's not committed to. I don't think he does everything that we possibly could to improve Georgia Tech football. So I just feel like he could put forth a little more effort than that.
Yeah, I would say D, but I guess he's responsible for D being here.
There needs to be like an F.
Yeah.
There needs to be like a Shadow Realm tier for Jeff Collins. He needs his own tier.
So let's talk about Jeff Collins. I mean, to be fair to the guy, I was thinking back end C or absolutely bottom D because he did I think have some good ideas for Tech as far as
really
the marketing of the team in Atlanta, and his recruiting was good. But you can't put him in C with where he left us.
No,
and his attitude after he left us.
That's true. If he didn't do what we know he did when he left and go, he was on that podcast talking about, I know that people felt some way about me being at Georgia's spring game. He's honestly a garbage bag human being. He's absolutely bottom tier D, and that's too favorable for him. Let's go to the other end of coaches. Where do we put Paul Johnson?
Ooh, here we go.
A.
I would agree with A.
I think that he's up there with O'Leary and A. He's at the top part of A. I mean, when you're a college football Hall of Fame coach, which I think is O'Leary in the College Football Hall of Fame?
He might be. I'm not sure anymore.
People criticize Paul for his style of offense. It worked for us for a long time. The fair criticisms of him were that he just didn't much care about recruiting. But he was a fan. He's one of the best coaches we've ever had.
He's a great coach. And look, I think he's a great coach. I have mad respect for him. We never should have hired him in the first place. We never should have ran the triple option. But
we didn't have many options back then. I remember that.
Right.
Well,
I just think
Cutcliffe was an option.
Yeah. Anything but running the triple option, like a freaking service academy. So it's just, I don't think.
Well, I don't think he was our first choice either, though. Right? I mean, we were heavy in on Will Muschamp and a couple other guys like that. Yeah.
Old Georgia
back when
player.
He was hot at. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I don't think we never should have hired him. In my opinion, Tech
I was
doesn't need
excited for him
triple
coming
option.
to Tech until I realized how bad he was hurting recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still recovering from that hit we took to recruiting. I mean, to Jeff's credit, he kind of pulled it back, but yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and get Calvin off the board. No one overtakes Calvin in the S tier rank. I mean,
Yep.
if you just constructed a wide receiver, in Madden and just maxed his stats, you'd get Calvin Johnson. On top of he's a great guy, he's a smart guy. I've never seen anything like that in my life.
He had great hands too, man. He could
Hands
just reach
down.
out and grab that football out of nowhere.
Hands down, the greatest freaking Georgia
I mean,
Tech
what?
player.
6'5".
Possibly the greatest receiver of all time.
I think had he had a longer career, he'd be undisputed.
Right.
Now screw the Lions for absolutely mishandling him,
and they better not do it to Gibbs too. I'm going to be severely pissed off.
We'll do a GoFundMe for Gibbs to get him out of there if I'm not happy with it.
I cannot believe freaking Matthew Stafford gets out of the Lions and freaking gets a ring, and Megatron doesn't. It's bullshit.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Calvin Johnson is to wide receiver what Barry Sanders was to running back.
Yeah,
like, could have been the greatest of all time had the Lions not run him out of the league.
Yeah.
Let me just throw some numbers to the audience. This guy was 6'5". He had a 48-inch vert, and he ran a 4.35 in someone else's cleats. And if you threw it within 10 yards of his vicinity, he'd come up with it somehow.
Do y'all remember the catch?
Which one?
NC State.
Oh, yeah. Where he's going one way, they throw the ball behind him.
And it's like a completely unnecessary thing. He just pulls it off just because he's cracked.
Yeah, I was there. I saw it in person.
You were there? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. S tier, undisputed S tier.
He'd be S tier on any college football list.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Josh Pastner. Now we got a basketball guy in here.
I'm gonna defer.
I would say he's back in C, just because he didn't do what Jeff did on the way out, and I actually do think Josh is a good guy.
Yeah, but I agree with all that.
It didn't work out. Let's see. Morgan Burnett.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah. A or B?
He's somewhere in A or B. I think he's more back in A with Waller. In fact, I think you could put him. For me, the question is where he goes. Does he go above Waller or not?
I'd go upper B. Waller is like top of his position group, where Morgan Burnett was good, but he was above average, middle of the pack, even in the NFL.
All right. I'd agree with that.
You get a point.
He did get an interception from Matt Stafford in 08 as well. That felt really good. Another guy I think that's similar to place is George Gotsey.
Ooh.
He didn't have – I don't even think he got drafted. I could be wrong. Now, he's been offensive coordinator in the league, and there was some Tech faithful that really wanted him to come in as our head coach, which I didn't agree with. I mean, what do you guys think?
You can't go 3-0 against UGA and go less than A.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and he's holding up. I don't know if you guys can see it really well. He's holding up the 3. Is he back end A?
He's
I actually think
I felt like he was an S talent.
So it's funny that you just say you can't go 3-0 against UGA and be less than A, because David Turk makes a good point. He says, as a player, Key's team beat Georgia 3 years in a row.
Oh, you're right. I think that bumps him up to back end B.
Bumps him up to B, get him up there. I think we might have been a little harsh on him in the first place, because
we're thinking coaching with him, and we weren't really thinking playing.
And I think even the coaching, like he really did do. I mean, we just got done saying how much he did with how little.
Yeah.
It's just the only thing was holding him back was that he just got the job. So, but yeah, that bumps him up for sure.
All right. Joe Gilbert. And I'm actually going to be fair with Joe Gilbert. I think Joe Gilbert is back in B too. He was on the 09 ACC championship team.
Oh, yeah.
and the inaugural Georgia State team after he got his Georgia Tech degree.
Hell yeah.
Joe Gilbert's B-tier Tech guy for sure.
And he freaking comes on and like, how cool is it that he comes on and talks to us?
Hell yeah. Gil, are you still in here, Mojo? Because, like, it would have been great to have you in here while we ranked you on the tier.
Well, you know how he feels about freaking Paul Johnson.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got him about as far away from Paul as the only way I could get him further away is to drop him down. So, but yeah. Mojo, why don't you step in here? The StreamYard link's up there if you want to come in.
Yeah.
All right. Demo, to me, is indisputed S tier.
S tier, bro.
In fact,
S-tier.
He's right behind Calvin.
Yeah. The way I look at it is, if you're like scoffing at us, the way I look at it is the best you can be at what you do, and he is.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to South Carolina, and now all of a sudden they're, beating top 10 teams, at the end of last year.
We would win the Natty if he would come back.
I would give a limb if Demo came back. Like, I'd give a pinky to start the season, but I would give, like, my left arm.
Yeah.
To get Demo back.
I don't really need one of these legs anyway.
No, I mean...
Right now, they're freaking ate up with poison ivy. I'm suffering right now, dude.
Yeah.
I'm itchy as hell, man. I've been doing yard work, dude. I got freaking poison ivy all over me. Sorry.
All right.
Just a side note.
Presley Harvin III. Now, he's at the top of his game at punter.
Yep.
Who'd we just have drop in? Oh, snap. We got Mojo in the house.
Yo.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's up?
Man, I'm sorry. I was listening in earlier. I had to jump off on to put my daughter to sleep, but I jumped right back on when y'all ranked me, and I did not expect to be on here. I'll take that beat. Oh,
yeah. Did you go get your ACC championship ring? We want to see it on the show.
Oh, I do actually. That is back home. I left it with my parents for safekeeping. I'm not good at keeping up with things myself.
No, I don't.
But yeah, I still got my ring.
You gotta bring it on for the beginning of the season. Our first show back, we want to see that ACC championship ring in your hand.
Yeah, we do. What about Keith Brookins? Did you put him on the board?
No, I did this kind of quick, but Keith Brooking would probably be upper A tier, in my opinion. You could even back in SM. I mean, he had such a long NFL career.
Yeah, I would argue that he would be S.
All right.
One of my favorite Falcons right there.
Oh, Keith Brookins. I mean, haven't we offered his son for 2026 or 2025 or something?
Oh, wow.
I think so. I think he plays tight end.
Yeah.
No, I forgot. I was going to put the Georgia Tech tight end position on here, and that would be D tier. I should have done that. Presley Harvin, it's between like top B and back A. I don't know how high you can put a punter, but we did put Bucker at S.
We did, and I feel like a hypocrite now, but it just seems like a punter. Like,
I think he's got to be like somewhere in here.
I mean, like, I know, yeah, and I think the what it is that we also have. Well, special teams plays like less of a role, and definitely less than field goal kicker. And also, we had Presley Harvin on teams that went 3-9. So.
Well, here's the interesting thing with Presley Harvin is he was like our MVP because our offense was so bad. So like we had to like ice his leg down after every game because he had to punt about 40 times.
Do you remember when? I remember looking away. We had scored a freaking touchdown, which was rare, and I looked away for a minute while we were kicking the PAT. Turns out. We weren't. We were going for 2, and I look back and see his fat ass freaking flailing around. They give it to him for a pass for some reason, and he freaking gets tackled. He's like he looks so silly, like flopping around. getting tackled because he's so damn big. It was funny as shit. I can't remember the game.
Oh well,
But,
if he had to make a tackle and kick coverage, he would destroy somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on, Matthew? I see you in the chat.
But no, I love Presley Harvin.
No, he's awesome,
yeah.
killing it for the Steelers at the moment.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at JT, Justin Thomas, another Georgia Tech quarterback. He's a tough one to place for me.
Yeah.
Where'd you put Reggie Ball?
He was back in B. He's definitely better than Ball, though.
I don't know. Ball has
where's
some good
Paul
moments,
Johnson?
especially against FSU.
I was saying that gets a bad rap for sure.
Yeah, he has some very good moments. We almost won that game years ago against FSU because of him.
But we won some big games with Thomas. I mean, he went to an ACC championship game.
Yeah.
He won a Citrus Bowl.
We're one of there was a graphic that came out in the modern day playoff era of the teams that had won a New Year's Six Bowl in it. I retweeted it, and it's not many.
He's also a part of the one of the bigger upsets we had at Bobby Dodd against Florida State with that block kick.
I think we were ranked in the top 8 with him. So let's say A.
I think he's back in A.
Yeah.
I agree.
Where's Paul Johnson?
Paul Johnson's upper A. He's the second on the A list.
I mean, I would agree with that because to Mojo's point, without Nesbitt and without Justin Thomas, Paul Johnson's legacy might be a lot different.
Mojo, how do you feel about where we put Paul?
Well, I got my feelings about Coach Johnson.
Where would you have put Paul?
In pantheon of Tech coaches,
You're
I
kind
would
of
give him an upper and B tier.
You drop him here. Okay.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, you were kind of cutting out, but we heard you say upper B.
Upper B, that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that might agree with that.
I know about the players, but as a fan, I kind of like that he was an asshole. It was funny.
Oh yeah,
to me as a
his
fan.
press conferences were like Belichick, Saban, with just how little of a crap he gave about it.
Yeah, and it pissed off like other teams' fans, which was funny. So I do like that.
Right.
I'm sure it
He
was
was
hard to
good
do.
I can give him that.
Yeah, I can't imagine what he was like to you guys if he was like that on camera. It must have been rough. Demaryius Thomas.
Ooh,
This is a guy that's like Waller. You could make the S tier. I mean, he was almost as good. Well, I'm not going to say almost as good as Calvin, but he was a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. What do we think?
Did he go to Denver?
and do y'all know his story? It's amazing.
Oh, like how rough his upbringing was.
His mom and grandma were in prison, and then when he got to his Super Bowl ring and got to go to the White House, he got Obama to pardon his grandmother. How cool is that?
He's got to be S then, right?
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
what do you
him.
guys think?
Easy S tier.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna
That's
actually
an
put
easy
him.
S tier. I remember you could swing the ball out he could catch the ball at the line of scrimmage, and he's going to stiff arm whatever 180, 200-pound DB they got covering him, and he's going to take off, and he did that consistently through the entire 09 season. He was a cheat code.
Oh, you played with him. That's right.
Oh yeah, I was very fortunate to play with him, and just watching that, we had turn back protection, which is just the easiest thing. You turn to the left side or the right side of the line, depending on the call, and you just see Bebe would be out there 1-on-1 with a DB, and you just knew no matter we could be playing Gardner Webb or we could be playing Clemson. It doesn't matter. He's going to stiff arm the guy and take off for a solid 30 yards every time.
So let me ask you this: do you hold it against him at all for costing us the ACC championship, or is that bullshit?
I think that's all bullshit, man.
All right, we're not holding it against him. I don't hold it against him. It's bullshit too.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, he's going to the NFL.
Yeah.
I can't begrudge him
Yeah.
a $200 tracksuit.
Yeah,
or whatever it was.
yeah.
Oh, that's what that is. Okay, that whole costing us the ACC title thing, that's F tier, fake news nonsense.
Yeah.
With all this is something that probably Mojo you'll agree with, that Paul was very vocal about. He's like, with everything that I know that goes on in college football right now, you're gonna ding us for a freaking tracksuit.
Yeah.
Meanwhile they're paying Cam Newton $250,000 to come to Auburn. Frig out of
And
my
North
face.
Carolina cheats for freaking
A decade
years.
straight.
Yeah.
Across all sports.
Yeah.
Friggin' joke.
What a
dude.
joke.
Lou brought that up on a show
Hypocrisy at its
earlier.
height.
Yeah. What a joke.
All right, what about Jonathan Dwyer?
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, I give him A+, whatever the top end A
A
is.
plus.
Is he
We have George O'Leary at A plus. Yeah.
he's not better than Waller? Is he better than Godsey and JT in the A?
that's
That's
hard
a
to say because I
question.
loved watching Godsey play.
I think he's back end A. I think he's in the last in the A tier.
I agree with that.
It's just so tough because there's some really good guys. I mean, this is who we have in the A tier: George O'Leary, Paul Johnson, Deshard Choice, Ralph Friedgen, Darren Waller, George Godsey, Justin Thomas. Is he better than any of those guys?
If I had to say, I'd put him ahead of Waller, behind Thomas. If that, I can't see the board right now, so I don't know which one of those or how those two are set.
Yeah, it's
Y'all
not
are
possible.
sleeping on my man Waller. Maybe
all
I'm
right.
a little biased because we went to the same high school.
We'll
So maybe
put
I'm
him
a
right
little biased.
behind Waller, so it'll be Waller, Dwyer, Godsey, Thomas. Now Thomas is our back end A though. We might have, so we'll finish this with the last guy, and then we'll see if we need to reshuffle any of these. Joe Hamilton.
Ooh.
It's hard for me to say he's S tier because he didn't have an NFL career.
But he didn't have an NFL career because he was basically ahead of his time. Like if Joe Hamilton had been drafted or like had the career he had in 2006, he absolutely would have been drafted.
Some of the best games I ever saw with Tech had Joe Hamilton as quarterback.
All right, is he back end S?
It's
Or
tough.
is he above Bucker, who has 2 Super Bowl rings?
I mean,
Well, that's.
I
Are
agree
we
with you in
grading
the
on
A
what he
tier.
did? Oh, go ahead.
because it was right. The definition that I was proposing for S tier was you don't have to explain to anybody who it is or why they're great. They already know. And you would have to explain to somebody who Joe Hamilton was.
Yeah, he goes
Like,
into A,
you can
but
just say Megatron and they know who you're talking about.
Right.
he
Here's
goes
what
into A, but I don't know if you should put him above
O'Leary.
Friedgen or not Friedgen, but O'Leary. And yeah, I don't think you should put him there.
Now we're pretty A heavy.
I think you should go after O'Leary because, like I said, O'Leary, he was part of the defense that won us the championship.
Okay, so I got him second in A. So this is what we got on the board. We got an S tier. We got. I'm gonna go from 1 to the back, from the best to the worst in S tier. Calvin, he's not moving. Demo's not moving. Demaryius Thomas, Harrison Bucker. I don't know with that. A tier, we've got George O'Leary, Joe Hamilton, Paul Johnson, Deshard Choice, Ralph Friedgen, Darren Waller, Jonathan Dwyer, George Godsey, Justin Thomas. B tier, we've got Morgan Burnett, Roddy Jones, Josh Nesbitt, Presley Harvin III, Reggie Ball, Brent Key, and my man, Joe Gilbert.
Gilbert should probably be in the S one just because he joins the channel every Sunday.
All right. We put Joe above Calvin. So
There you
Joe's the greatest ever. Now that you guys are gone, do you guys remember Hollins? Am I the only one that remembers this guy?
No, I do. I do remember him. I watched him when I was in like middle school or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember him getting hurt, and that was the first time I ever saw like grown man crying on a football field. But then
It was
found out
nasty.
why. Yeah, it was real bad.
But yeah, he led the league in rushing for like 3 more weeks. But okay, so we got in C, we got Tony Hollins, Brad Stewart, Angel Cabrera, AJ Suggs, Josh Pastner, and then D, we've got this joke of a kicker, this
Brent
joke of an
Samaglia.
OC. We got this joke of an OC and this clown of a human being, and Jeff Collins.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Where is Ja?
Oh my God! How could I forget to put Ja on here? Where would Ja be? Like I said, I did this quick.
A tier somewhere.
He'd be probably with Joe Hamilton.
He's the best player to come through here in a long time.
All right,
I mean,
feel
doesn't
like
the jury have to be out for him? Because he's just now starting his.
That's
playing
true.
career.
Yeah, if we're factoring NFL careers, but even at
Yeah.
Tech and Alabama, he's like one of the best players in the country. He led
Yeah,
he led the freaking country in all-purpose yards on a 3-9 Georgia Tech team.
Yeah,
Like
agree with
it's
that.
such a shame that we just wasted him, and even Alabama did too.
Yeah, where would we have ranked Waller a week after his drafting? Right.
probably back end B or even probably top end C.
I have a special love for Ja. I'm more biased to some of these players, but Ja freaking sent me a message on Twitter saying he saw my videos and stuff and thanked me for the support. So Ja's pretty special to me.
Yeah, Jaws. So here's what I think: we got to drop 2 people out of A. We got too many A's.
Yeah.
Who we said we couldn't drop Gotze. Gotze, I think's here only because, well, I don't know. I mean, he also is has the record for most passing yards in a game still at like 480 or something.
He wants nothing to do with coaching at Georgia Tech.
Do we drop Gotze?
No, Ghazi was always entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
You always felt like you had a chance.
Well, I
to
mean,
beat them in the game.
it makes sense that we have a lot of A tier because you put a lot of really good. You put some of the best people to ever come through the school in here.
If Ghazi hadn't gotten hurt, where would he have been? He would have definitely been in the A.
Yeah, I tell you what I think. On another show, we'll have to redo this, and Dog, me and you need to sit down and figure out who all needs to be on here because I just kind of threw this together today when the idea came. But I agree with all this. I mean, the only thing you could probably debate is where they go within here. Like, I don't think Morgan Burnett is necessarily better than Roddy Jones and Nesbitt. I guess if you take his NFL career into account.
Roddy Jones said a hilarious freaking quote this past year. Malachi Carter had surpassed his record for most career starts at Georgia Tech. And he was like, yeah, the trick is to be good enough to start, but not good enough to go to the NFL.
That is true. He does have a good sense of humor.
I love
Fighting
Roddy Jones.
commentary.
I love Roddy Jones. It was funny.
I also think it's hilarious that Angel Cabrera is in between a wide receiver that no one remembers and AJ Sucks.
Yeah.
That's where we put him.
Yeah, I think you got him right in the right spot.
Yeah.
I don't
in
know.
fairness to Cabrera, the president of the university, he's looking to get government grants and get the get different schools and stuff launched.
You think he's doing what he can to improve our football program?
Yeah, well, I think him stepping in and saying, "All right, I'm going to take over," and kicking out Stansbury and Collins in one fell swoop. I think that was him saying, "All right, I'm going to have some owners."
That moves him up.
It does seem like we've been seeing more of him lately.
Yeah, that was like that for him to step in and fire Stansberry, and like he had to have fired Collins because
Yeah.
he fired Stansberry. That moves him to top of C, actually.
And
in my
that
opinion.
that was also a good point that Bryce Kuhn had brought up was that the other sports were doing pretty good at the time too. So we fired Stansberry solely based on the football situation, which shows that we do care about football and we prioritize that. So
There's only so many times you can lose to Georgia and be respectable.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's what got it seems to me Gailey fired.
Chan Gailey, yeah.
Absolutely what got Gailey out of there. Yeah.
But yeah, well, I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
I didn't think you was gonna like it, Sea Dog. You didn't have much
Why
of a
not?
response when I pitched the idea to you, and it hurt my feelings. greatly.
Sorry, I have a bad habit of saying okay. Like
Yeah.
you should see my text with my boss. He's like, I just say okay a lot. Like my wife gets irritated when my one word responses too. So it's not just you.
No, I'm just messing with you. So I'll pose this to the panel: who's the most underrated Georgia Tech player of all time?
Mm.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
There's so many.
I have one because I'm thinking of like taking it outside of the Tech circle, but
I mean, what about Mark Teixeira?
I thought about putting him on the list, but I didn't want to talk about baseball.
Well, but I mean, for all the financial influence that he's had
That's true.
around the last, 3-4 years of the program in all athletics, I would say that in addition to everything he's done in baseball is what makes him underrated for me.
That's true. Yeah, Mark Teixeira is underrated from that. Yeah, because he's like, we just retired his jersey. Like he's showing up with events to like fundraising events and taking a heavy hand in that.
Coming back around the school definitely is a plus in my book for doing that. When you're a famous alumni and you can add that back into the program, I think that's a huge benefit. But now, when we say underrated, are we talking about strictly what was done at Tech, or career past Tech is also included in that?
It can be either. I mean, like, what's your thinking?
My thinking was dark horse candidate here, Shane Bowen.
Okay.
Who was a jam up linebacker, played a lot on special teams, and I believe is still the DC of the Tennessee Titans. He was named DC 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, based on his post-Tech career, he is definitely lit it up.
I'd also say Chris Bosch.
Ooh.
I mean, he's won NBA championships. He took us to a, college basketball final, and like everybody used to give all that stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Chris Bosch."
Chris Bosch, Jarrett Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Iman Shumpert.
Did you put Sean Jones on that list?
No. Yeah, stop attacking me for my list. I gotta rethink it, and we'll definitely do another one because I think it was entertaining.
Yeah, I liked it.
Off
season content.
I think George Godsey was fairly underrated because I think he was kind of a goofy looking quarterback, but like that guy won football games.
Reggie Ball. Like I said, he gets a bad rap.
I do think people are a little harder on Reggie.
They are. That's all they remember. Anytime anybody brings him up,
I'm probably harder.
I think
on
he's
him.
properly rated
you think
because
so?
the expectation, like the the delivery never matched the expectation. He was absolute best his freshman year when he won ACC Rookie of the Year and never surpassed that. And everybody kept hoping he'd take that next step up, and he never did.
Especially with Megatron, I guess.
Well, that's why I'm harder on him. It's the first time I heard my dad use the F word and like just storm out of the house was when he threw it away. I just heard him. He just kept saying, "You have Calvin. You have Calvin."
Man.
I'll never forget that.
That's fair.
It is kind of tough to justify losing track of downs. It made me think of that instance of Zach Gibson running out of bounds.
Zach Gibson was like, "Yeah, I knew it was 4th down. I just take a loss."
Yeah,
He
I
literally said
didn't
in
want
the press
no
conference.
more.
I was like, "Dude, you need to lie in that situation."
And look who we have here.
Well, his ration. Sorry.
Mr. Lely saying that guard Shaq Mason will get an A. He is an underrated, I think,
True.
player.
Yeah.
He's got multiple Super Bowl rings, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got one with Tampa and New England. He's got at least 2. And he was like a 2-star.
Yeah, he was on the Tampa team.
And you said you met him, right? He was like bouncing or something, or you were bouncing
yeah.
when he walked in.
yeah. I was working security, and he walked in into the bar I was at, and
Cool.
yeah, it was fun. I didn't recognize him because I hadn't seen him without his helmet on, but yeah, he recognized me. And came
I
up
don't
to
know
say
how
hi.
you people run into players like. I was looking at y'all know Patience Veach.
Yes.
Mhm.
She ran into freaking Megatron at the bowling alley. Like, what the hell?
She's
Where-
S tier, by the way.
She's
Patience
S tier.
Beach is S tier, if there ever
How do
was one.
I don't even know what bowling alley she goes to or something. Like,
It must be the nice one.
she's
I'm
constantly running into people.
Yeah, how did she run? He lives in like Michigan. How does
I don't know, man. She ran into him at the freaking bowling alley.
I told you I ran into Roddy Jones at one of these trampoline parks. I took my kid, but I pushed out. I did.
You didn't say anything?
No, I was like, he's here with his kid. He doesn't want
Yeah.
some idiot like me bothering him.
Yeah.
I told Patience that, and she's like, I would have talked to him.
No, yeah.
I'm like,
Well,
well, you have
it's-
credentials, I don't.
Well, it's a little more acceptable when it's like a girl or a kid than a grown
Yeah.
man.
And I'm not gonna pass for either one of those. So that's out.
You don't pass, huh? That's a shame.
Nah.
That's funny. I'd probably push out too because like I feel like if I was famous, I wouldn't want people to like approach me.
See, I have a lot of anxiety around feeling like I'm in the way or I'm bothering.
Yeah, me too.
somebody.
Yeah, me too.
Like I told
Although-
you. Go ahead.
Although I don't mind. Just so you know, I don't mind if I'm in public and somebody comes up and approaches me. If you reckon I like it, but I just feel like if it happens a million.
What'd you say?
He says it feeds my ego. Well, I don't have an ego. Cut it out. I'm just saying, like, I didn't mean to say don't approach me. If you see Sea Dog in public, say what's up. I don't,
Oh
I don't-
yeah, absolutely.
I don't bite, and WreckTalk too. But I'm sure if it happens hundreds of times, which who knows, for an old tech player like Ryan Jones, it might not happen that much. So maybe.
No, I love like if you see me at the game, definitely say something. Man.
Yes,
Like,
please. I love
um,
talking to people that watch the shows and everything. So cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And of the players you can run into, Roddy Jones is about the most down to earth. So I'd say,
Really.
don't run up on him, but if you happen to lock eyes or something, you can strike up a conversation. Roddy Jones, he'll chit chat with you. He's a cool guy.
Have you talked with Roddy?
It's been a while. Like I think it's probably been a few years since I think Collins had an alumni event his first year he came, and I think that was the last time I hung out with Roddy. But
Yeah.
still a cool dude. Yeah, he's doing big things. Got him a family.
Right. My mom's friend is like related to him, and
Really?
yeah, and they sent she sent him like the buzzsaw video, and he had seen that, so that was cool too.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah, I have a screenshot of their conversation about the buzzsaw video, so that was cool too.
Oh,
I like Roddy.
I was gonna tell you too, C-Dog. I got a video in the works. I got to find time to get with Mojo, but he's gonna pancake block me.
Oh no! Oh my god!
And you know how like injury prone I am. I was talking with my dad earlier after we practiced softball, And I was like, Dad,
Yeah.
I don't want to alarm you, but I might need surgery on my shoulder because my rotator cut. Like if I
Yeah.
raise my arm this high, it hurts, and it's been
Yeah.
like that for like 8 months. So
Yeah, mine too. I hurt mine in football in high school though.
yeah, yours has been like
But-
that for like 8 years.
Yeah, but
Can we get
then-
surgery together? Like
yeah,
please?
I was hurting for months after the Slav Olympics after falling at the obstacle course. Like my rib hurt for months. It
From
finally
falling?
stopped hurting. Yes,
We both
because I
on
fell
our
at the end.
faces.
That was the hardest event. Like that took every ounce of my energy.
Oh yeah.
And I collapsed. There was just no way I wasn't falling at the end. We need to put like a rubber mat next year.
Yeah, for El Gigantes like us that come
Yes.
strolling through. Yeah, as
because
soon-
there's no way that I'm not gonna fall after.
well,
doing
thank
that.
God it was sand.
Yeah,
Like as
the
soon as
sand
I
wasn't that
started-
soft though. It wasn't that soft.
It wasn't when I hit it. As soon as I
Yeah.
started running, my body was like, "What are you doing right now?
Right.
You're not athletic. You don't move. You sit in front of a computer all day. This ain't you."
Yeah, I know.
Oh man. Well, I guess
Just,
we'll wind down the show. We're coming up quarter till the hour. Unless there's something you guys want to talk about. What do you guys want to talk about? Mojo, you got something on your mind? Mike or 441W?
Let's see which.
We were talking about the ACC earlier. What do y'all think about that? You think the ACC is going to survive? You think we can work out a better deal, add some teams, or you think it's going to fall apart?
Yeah.
Something's got to change if it's going to survive.
Oh yeah, it's not going to stay like it is now for sure.
I think the management, after getting Notre Dame as a partial member and adding Pitt and Syracuse, I don't know, 10 years ago, I feel like they've just kind of been sitting back on their laurels, not trying to expand the conference. If you're not trying to expand, you're just begging to be picked off.
And we're
so
lucky
something's
that
gonna
it
change.
wasn't us when it was Texas and Oklahoma. We're lucky it wasn't our two best teams that were picked off.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I completely agree. And so far be it from the ACC to be proactive, but
the ACC used to have the basketball perennial champions.
Yeah.
Every year, the Final Four had to have an ACC team in it.
Mhm.
But you can't really say that over the last few years. So they're even losing ground in basketball.
yeah, oh yeah,
And
Big
baseball,
Ten.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the baseball landscape? Is there ACC teams like going to Omaha? I don't know.
Yeah, Miami's perennially pretty darn good. Oh, and North Carolina, Virginia, they tend to be pretty good.
Why do you bring up the two teams I hate the most in the world other than UGA? Friggin' Miami, man. Green and white. Like, it's just the worst. And orange. I hate
Well, the
it.
best thing about that WreckTalk is they come in with so much fanfare and then just always choke.
Yeah. They're like Enron, where you get real happy, the stock price, and then you're friggin' don't exist later. That's how their expectations go.
Somebody commented. I was telling WreckTalk. Somebody commented on my video the other day. I had a video I came out with this time last year in the off season called "Miami is overrated again and will suck this year." And somebody commented on it saying it aged like fine wine,
It did.
which I was saying is usually not the case for my videos. Usually I get a lot of comments that say this aged like milk, and it's me talking trash on Georgia or something.
Well, you know what? Their time is coming to an end. I'm over
You're damn right.
Georgia.
I don't know how good you can be with half your players in prison, but
You
Yeah.
know, did y'all know that now the most the program they're enrolling their players in? Do you know what it is?
Underwater basket weaving.
Well, it was that. Now it's criminal justice because they're you
Seen
need
it
to
from the
prepare.
inside.
Yeah, they're like, y'all need to be prepared when you get the at your door.
The one that used to get me is Notre Dame. Every year they're ranked in the top 10. I remember one year they didn't even make the bowl. And the
man.
next year they're still ranked in the top 10. That's the one that kind of irks me.
Yeah, and then their coach leaves, and the next year wins the West. I mean, like, what's going on with Notre Dame? But I don't know. I hate Notre Dame too.
I hate Notre Dame so much. And and it makes it worse is that have any of you? I don't even want to bring this up, but have any of you are familiar with the freaking overall record of us against them? It's like 6-36 or something like that.
Oh,
It makes
my
me
God.
it makes me sick.
Yeah, and the
I
movie
think a lot of
Rudy, you
that's
had to
really
put them beating Georgia Tech at the end.
With Rudy.
Yeah.
Rudy.
friggin-
Yeah, we were the bad guys in Rudy too. Like
That wasn't even true. This whole narrative that the coach didn't want to play him, total nonsense.
yeah, he was offsides.
And he's not a good person. Go look it up. He's a horrible human
Just
being.
like Stetson.
Oh, speaking of that, I wanted to ask you, Mojo, how can you play college sports for like 6-7 years and not have a degree?
That is a very good question. Because
I'm serious.
I mean, well, because he was initially a walk-on at Georgia, so he was there for his first year. So all of those credits we know are good. And the only thing I could think of was, okay, maybe if none of his credits from that JUCO he went to for 1 year transferred over, maybe that puts him a little bit behind. But still, because he was in college for 7 years.
I think it was 7. So you have to take 12 hours or 15 hours to play sports.
Normally it's 12. Like they'll let you get away. Normally they'll push for 15, unless you're in season. Sometimes they'll let you get away with a lighter schedule. But yeah. So if he had 7 years of college, and if you scratch one saying they didn't accept any of his transfer credits, I don't know how you progress towards graduation and stay eligible without graduating at the end of 6 years. It's just
I mean, unless he was
I
just
don't understand
taking
it.
a bunch of random 1,000 or 2,000 level classes the whole time. Which can you even do that? Don't they tell you what classes you're going to take? Pretty much.
Like you are not supposed to take just a bunch of electives, and I don't believe you can, because you have to, like, for each year you're in college, there's a set, I guess a tranche is a good way to describe it, of classes that you have to get completed. And to get to your 4th and 5th year and not being on the 4th and 5th year plan, I don't understand how you can square that circle.
You hear that, NCAA? Do you hear that, NCAA regulatory body? No, I'm serious. Like, something's messed up with that, man.
Yeah.
Like, what is Kirby doing?
Do you have to maintain full-time hours the whole time, or is that like at registration you have to have at least 12 hours, and then like before the drop period, could you drop like 1 or 2 classes and just always be taking like 9 hours?
I want to say the minimum is 9, because you can drop if you need to. That's why normally they'll push 15. So if you have at least one bad class, you're still taking 12 if you drop it. But I want to say 9 is the absolute minimum after drops.
So what if he has like 54 hours? He's been there 7 years. Like, that would be the case. Someone asked, couldn't you switch majors? I guess, but you'd have to switch to something that's so different than what you were in. And if you're taking stupidity, 101 or something, like, I think that a lot of those you'd have crossover. I mean, the only way I could see that is if like you were majoring in engineering and then majored in social work or something. So I don't know how that happens, and then Georgia fans bark at me like, "You went back to back." It's like, yeah, but I mean, he's a garbage person.
Yeah, I just read an article online about Stetson Bennett. Bennett was the #1 walk-on player in college football history. He's ranked #1.
Well, yeah, he's certainly that. I mean, I'm not gonna. Whatever. I mean, we'll see how he does in the NFL. That'll be interesting to see. And everyone is nationally are Georgia sycophants and like won't call it how it is. Like, every article written on the guy or Georgia is just like not hard hitting at all.
Well,
except for the AJC, man. Woo.
Yeah,
yeah.
But all the articles I've seen on them over the off season has been about them getting arrested.
Yeah,
AJC is on. AJC is on their ass. I love them for that.
but all they're doing is reporting the facts of what is happening. Like they're not, expounding on their opinions of what that means or if there's anything beyond that. All it is like, yeah, this guy got arrested and this guy got arrested. And then these Georgia fans are like, can you believe the AJC? My granddaddy worked for the AJC for 80 years and he would never do this. No, get out of here, man, with that. Like, what do you want them to do? Just never, ever say anything against Georgia ever? Yes. That is what they want. And I would think the majority of AJC readers are Georgia fans, so it probably hurts their bottom line. So good on them.
How do you clean up that situation over at Georgia?
Oh, they're not going to unless it affects their football. I mean, are you asking what I would do? I would actually have some punishment, and I would hold kids responsible for what they do. I think Kirby's mindset's more like Bobby Bowden's was, where it's like, well, why would I punish the rest of the team by sitting this player out of game? I think that's their mindset, and it's like, yeah, but doesn't that kind of tell the kid, hey, it's okay, just continue doing this. There's never going to be any consequences for it. We'll have a guy go pay your ticket for you in cash. So, yeah, I don't know.
That's exactly the problem, because based on the way things go in Athens, they would sooner raise a fund and bribe the police department to just not mess with Georgia players before they would have one of their players held accountable.
I'm surprised they don't already do that. I'm surprised that they even get arrested in the first place, to be honest.
Well, they used to. When Rick was there, it was a huge problem.
Right.
When Rick was there, and now
which is funny because
well, that's what's suspect to me is now it's totally different because a lot of these arrests aren't in Clark County. They're in Oconee or they're in like Morgan County or like Madison, where they might not have the influence. So yeah, I would like to know kind of what's going on with that. And every bit of information that comes out is worse and worse. So I don't know.
How about, does Nick Saban have this problem with his players?
Well, I would imagine
Alabama lately has been having an issue too. Yeah,
giving firearms to people.
Team is,
yeah, I honestly, and like I guess not to trash Nick, I probably where Kirby learned that trick from. Though. I mean, the truth be told, because I never hear much about Alabama players getting in trouble.
Georgia owes everything, and I mean everything, to Alabama and Nick Saban.
They do.
Well,
they do.
No disagreement.
And then they want to trash Alabama. Like,
yeah,
that was a video Lou did when we were at the Slobs. Actually, he was recording it like we were talking to him, and then he walked off to record it. I was like, "What are you doing?" But basically, because Nick was like, "Hey, we do like these conference like 9-team schedule," and Nick was like, "We're playing Georgia and like or we're playing Tennessee, LSU." Like these tougher teams in the West and a tougher team in the East. And it's like, yeah, that's because they don't have the schedule Georgia does. Like they'd probably love to play Vanderbilt, Kentucky, even Florida right now. Like Georgia's had this thing laid out for them. The East has been a joke. And I can't understand these people. I don't know if Mayhem Matthew's still in here, but he's one of them that's like the East is somehow the greatest conference in college football. Like, what are you talking about?
I mean, think about if Georgia Tech had to play those teams, Vanderbilt, Kentucky. What would their record be?
We constantly have like one of the hardest schedules in the country from year to year. This year, not so much. So
it's tough. It's just not top 5 in the country tough this year.
So hopefully we'll be
still
able to
top 25, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're rolling up on 10, but I will address Momo's question to wrap this up. How many games y'all going for this year? I'm assuming he's saying how many games do you got Tech winning this year? Now Vegas, depending on who you look at, has this between 4.5, 5.5. We'll start with C-Dog. What do you think? I know we've talked about it, but
my prediction is 6 to 8. I mean 8 being like the absolute ceiling. I'm gonna probably go with 7.
C-Dog 7. Mike?
9-3.
Oh, hell yeah.
I haven't changed that since he took over.
Hell yeah, dude.
9-3. Mojo.
Yeah, I think 7. I think 7 is a solid win total this year. But
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and tell everybody hammer that over, because
Yeah,
no
yeah.
way we're winning under 4 games. Or no,
Right.
I think
Under-
5 games is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-4-1.
I have a hard time seeing more than 6, but similar to Mojo, I also have a real hard time seeing any less than 4.
I mean, I don't see how people think we're gonna backslide from last year. Like, what if? I mean, I just don't. We lost stuff, but it's like we still have largely the same roster. A few standout players. I mean, receiver, I'm not even worried about.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing you could look at would be like linebacker and Keon White as like stuff that is going to be insanely hard to replace. But when you kind of look at how the offense, how much improved that is, going to be, I don't know. I just don't think we're going to backslide from 5 wins. People act like we won 3 games again last year, which we didn't. On 5.
Well, we got 2 quarterbacks that could be starter.
Right.
Well, that's the point. Are we a better team now than we were last year? I think so.
Not to mention, like, a lot of the reason that held us back last year was special teams. And I'm not even saying we need to have some kind of insane special teams, but, even a little improvement. Like, it can't be understated how detrimental it was for us to get the ball on the 10-yard line every time. And you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that I said, like, if we're really going to take a big step up, like above, getting a good bit above 6 wins, to me, it's going to come down to offensive line and special teams. You got to have a big improvement in both those areas, and I think we can, for sure. But anyways, well, guys, I appreciate you coming on the panel. Mike, Doug, last words for you.
Go Tech.
Go Jackets.
Go Jackets, baby.
Thank you, Mike. Doug, Mojo, parting words.
And go Jackets, and to hell with Georgia.
Hell yeah.
Woo! Man, to hell with Georgia. 4-4-1. No, it's not rhetorical.
Man, a few words.
4-4-1, you have
Appreciate
last
it,
words?
fellas. No, I appreciate it.
Appreciate having you on.
Yeah, go Jackets.
Go
Yes,
Jackets.
sir.
All right. Well, that was that was a lot of fun, Sea-Dog.
Yeah, I had fun. Yeah.
I love talking Georgia Tech football. Sea-Dog, you have any last words for our guys?
I don't think I could come up with anything better than what our boys laid down for us a second ago. Go Jackets, and to hell with Georgia.
To hell with
I
Georgia.
I can't stress that second part enough.
They're just the worst.
They're just the worst, man.
Well, all right, I appreciate it. Sea-Dog, thank you as always.
Yeah, man.
Guys, I appreciate y'all showing out for the show. We do a show every Sunday. Next week will be the WreckTalk live show. Appreciate everyone in the chat, and y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend.